Sue Eleuterio is a longtime supporter and donor for Lakeshore Public Media, where she also serves on the board for the media organization. Sue, thank you so much for taking the time to swing by the station today.
I'm so glad to be here, Dee.
We are absolutely ecstatic that you are here today. Now, Sue, before we take a moment to talk more about why you're here today to discuss our 2026 Spring Pledge Drive, I want you to take a moment to tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm a professional folklorist. I actually have a master's degree in American folk culture and a minor in museum studies. And I am an educator. I'm an adjunct faculty at Goucher College in Maryland in their master's in cultural sustainability.
Wow. And what is your origin story to Lakeshore Public Media?
I was recruited by Cal Bellamy. I am a public radio addict, basically. I have a radio in every room in my house.
Wow. Wow. And so he recruited you because he knew of your love of the public media organization?
Yes, we've known each other, and I think he knows that I really support nonprofit organizations as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm going to throw a curveball at you and ask you to just tell us something that very few people know about you.
Well, I'm half Portuguese, and my grandparents came from little islands called the Azores off the coast of Portugal. Wow.
And how did you and your family wind up in Northwest Indiana?
I'm here for love of my husband, Tom Sorlis.
He's an awesome artist, by the way.
Who is an artist. I came to the Midwest as a Vista volunteer in the 70s. I just always had a thing about Chicago. And I was born in the Midwest in Michigan, but grew up out east in Delaware.
Absolutely. Well, again, we are just so grateful to have you here. Now, Sue, again, we are here to talk about Lakeshore Public Media's Spring 2026 Pledge Drive. And I want to say this. So many people look at public media as a given, that it will always be there, whether they turn on the radio or the TV, that it will always be there. But I want to ask you, from your perspective as a longtime supporter and a donor, what makes you so passionate about supporting Lakeshore Public Media? And with that, to that point, I want you to spend a few minutes talking about why you're so passionate about and working so hard to plan the upcoming American Revolution screening.
So the American Revolution screening is a good example of why I'm passionate about public media. It is a series by Ken Burns and several others that examines the actual history of the American Revolution, which I have to admit, I didn't know a lot of the details. I was like a lot of people. I kind of had the assumption that, they declared independence. My granddaughter just learned about the Boston Tea Party, so she's been talking about that. She's 7, which is kind of cute.
Good, though.
But I had no idea what it actually took for America to actually become independent. So it's a really great learning opportunity. And that learning is why I support public media. I've learned something every day from Lakeshore Public Media, whether it's radio or TV.
Yeah. I'm going to give you a few more minutes to give a shameless plug for the upcoming screening. Can you share a few of the details about what will be happening?
Yes. So in April, there will be a screening in Valpo, and there'll be a panel discussion. And if you go to our website, you can learn more about getting a ticket to that. It is a free public event. And then in June, in Lake County, we will be partnering with the Lake County Library to talk about civic engagement.
So important, so important. And again, that's why we need Lakeshore Public Media here in the region. It is the only public media organization in the region. So again, that is why we need it. Now, Sue, I wanted to talk about you as a board member, because obviously you are someone that keeps a close eye on the health of this organization. And I want you to paint a picture of what is actually at stake for the region in terms of local news and programming due to the loss of federal and state funding.
Well, what's at stake is knowing what's actually going on in the region in every area, from the arts, with Arts on the Air, to the Climate Connections program that we air, which, tells us details about what's going on, and with the kind of weather that we've had lately,
Yeah.
I think people realize that they have a need for a trusted source of information, not only about whether there's going to be a tornado, which, sadly we've had some loss
Yeah.
recently in Indiana from tornadoes, but also just what's going on with the climate and what's happening with the world. And there's just so many opportunities to learn about a variety of subjects from Lakeshore Public Media. One of my favorite shows is Democracy Now!, which is a national show that focuses on national and international news. And again, with the war on Iran, I think it's really important for us to know what's actually going on in the world.
Absolutely. And I should share for our listening and viewing audience that Democracy Now! Does air on our radio and television side daily, and it is a quite important show, quite informative. So I'm glad that you did mention that show, in addition to all of our local programming as well. Now, Sue, I want to circle back to you and why you give so much to Lakeshore Public Media. We are all benefactors of your generosity and your philanthropy. And I want to talk a little bit about why you have committed to a match dollar for dollar up to $5,000 for our upcoming Spring Pledge Drive. And I think that as an educator, you will appreciate my next question. So, as I think you sort of kind of alluded to earlier, public media is often called the nation's largest classroom, especially when you think of programming, some of the programming that you have already mentioned, that cover everything from politics to health and everything in between, including the climate. And I want to talk to you, and the state of the world, as you shared as well. I want to ask you, how does your support for public media function as an investment for the generations to come?
Well, I'm a grandmother of 5 and one on the way. And I feel that it is so important that we have an educated citizenry. And these days, we're seeing such a division in our country. People rely on social media for information, which, as a folklorist, I can tell you, I have occasionally even been tricked by false information. But, I think critical thinking as an educator is so important. It's one of the things I teach in my classes. And I think that public media and Lakeshore in particular offer that chance to really be a critical thinker and to learn about the world and our local everything that's going on, from whether it's the bears potentially coming to Northwest Indiana, to the potential costs of data centers, to anything that will impact us locally. I think you can find that on Lakeshore Public Media. So that's why it's so important to me. And finally, sadly, we've seen that the federal funding has been cut to basically nothing. So if we don't support it, it's not going to be here.
Absolutely. Sue, we have about a minute or so left. And before I let you go, I want to ask you, for anybody that's watching us right now or even listening to us on radio who love this station but have never made the commitment to move from a listener to a supporter or a donor, what would you say to them right now to encourage them to support Lakeshore Public Media, not only with their tuning in, but with their financial resources? So
I would say, if you just think about what you tend to spend on coffee or, snacks or, for that cost, you could be making a difference in public media. And it's very easy to donate. You can be a monthly donor. One of the benefits for the television part of it is that you become a Passport member, so you can watch shows like Ken Burns' programs free. So, it's really a great benefit.
Absolutely. And I do want to share with our audience that if you do become a member on our radio side, you also have access to our app, NPR One. So absolutely, even though public media is free, sometimes there can be some costs. And so being a supporter and a continuing member, you do get that access. Sue, I thank you so much. You know, when you came in, I wanted to give you a hug, but it's so cold right now. But I thank you. We all thank you here at Lakeshore Public Media for your continued support and advocacy for Lakeshore Public Media. It is well received by obviously all of the staff that is here, and I'm certain that our viewing and listening audience are benefactors of your support as well. We thank you for joining us, and we cannot wait to see you at the upcoming screening of American Revolution.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you for all you do.
Absolutely.